Patriotic comrades, imagine this. You're leading in the polls. The numbers are stacking up in your favor. Then suddenly, boom, the last few ballot boxes flipped everything upside down. Today we are diving into the fiery clash between Paul Buchanan and Prime Minister Andrew Holness over one of the most controversial election nights in Jamaica's history. By the end of this video, you will know why Buchanan is crying foul, why Holness is under the microscope, and why his drama isn't just politics. It's a thriller playing out in real time. But what really happened inside those ballot boxes from Seaward Gardens? We'll get to that. But first, let's rewind the tape. So, patriotic comrades, let's set the stage, background and context. Then, September 3rd, general election, St. Andrew West Central. Holness, the JLP leader, running against PNP's Paul Buchanan. Early counts. Buchanan ahead by nearly 100 votes after 87 boxes of 105 boxes. But then, the final 18 ballot boxes, coming from one school in Seaward Gardens, swing the tide dramatically. It's almost like watching a football match. PNP fans celebrating, vibes up. Then suddenly, in the last few minutes, JLP pulls off a Manchester United style comeback that nobody saw coming. Suspicious! Buchanan thought so. Buchanan files application on September 16 under Section 37E of the Election Petition Act, arguing violence and irregularities distorted a free and fair election. But here's the kicker. Despite affidavits and eyewitness claims, the Constituted Authority wasn't buying it. Why? Let's break it down. Do you think Paul Buchanan was robbed in St. Andrew West Central? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be replying to the best comments. The Constituted Authority reviews affidavits and case law. Verdict: evidence didn't meet the legal threshold of Section 37E. Translation: Buchanan's claim were serious, but not serious enough in court. Patriotic comrades, imagine taking your receipts to court and the judge basically says, nice try, but these receipts don't add up. That's essentially what happened here. Result: Holness officially declared winner with 7,054 votes versus Buchanan's 4,953 votes. Margin 2,101 votes. So Holness win by 2,101 votes. Zin? But the controversy, those last 18 boxes flipped the script completely. But here's what nobody wants to say out loud. When the country's leader himself is at the center of a razor-sharp election night turnaround, should the people just take it and move on? Or is something bigger happening behind the curtain? If those final 18 ballot boxes didn't flip the script, would Holness still be Prime Minister today? Yes or no? Let's hear it in the comments below. My expert analysis and breakdown. On paper, the law sides with Holness. Politically, the optics are damaging. PNP position: this wasn't just about numbers. It's about trust in the system. Because let's be real, when Andrew Holness wins after being behind it's not just victory, it's a PR miracle. If Seaward Gardens was a Netflix series, the episode would be titled The Ballot Box That Saved a Prime Minister. Public reaction, heated debates, suspicion, and questions of whether Jamaica's democracy is truly free and fair. And here's where it gets even juicier. What happens if this becomes a recurring pattern? What if the next election night ends the same way? Would Jamaicans still trust the ballot? Patriotic comrades, me can tell you this straight up. You see, once in thief a general election, he not go stop thief future general elections. So this will become a reoccurring pattern that will be developing in future elections. So don't make it go over on your head. Keynote and pay attention to that. Which one is more dangerous for Jamaica's democracy? A. Election fraud allegations. B. People losing trust in the system. Comment your choice and explain why in the comments below. So, Paul Buchanan took his fight to the Constituted Authority and lost. Andrew Holness walked away with the seat, but not without a storm cloud of controversy hanging over the JLP. Was it election fraud? Was it bad optics? Or was it just politics as usual in Jamaica? By the end of the day, the people are left with the same question. Who really won? Holness or the system? Imagine if you were in Paul Buchanan's shoes that night. Would you accept the results or fight like he did? Tell me in the comments below. Here's a summary of the highlights and the key points. Quick recap. Buchanan ahead of Holness by only 100 votes before the final 18 ballot boxes. The last ballot boxes flipped the election dramatically. Buchanan filed under Section 37E, citing violence and irregularities. Constituted Authority ruled evidence wasn't enough. Holness declared winner with 7,054 votes versus Buchanan 4,953 votes. Trust in Jamaica's electoral system now under fire. Patriotic comrades, am I shocked or surprised of an outcome like this? Definitely not. You see, nobody a got thief one election forget catch. You're not going to steal a general election and then turn around and get exposed. You will do everything in your power to stop and block every attempt to do no form of investigation, to go through no form of judicial process. Like for example, forget it void in the election court. You go block all of that, because guess what? If it did go to court, Holness would have lose. It would have get void if it did go to court, you know. So then make sure block it from early, because if you go in a court and it proves say yes, election fraud take place with all the irregularities, voter suppression, prime minister forward and a shutdown polling station, allegedly, what he not supposed to do? It's an election day, because we want to know if the prime minister forward and based on what the people them say, he send police to shut down the polling station, allegedly, that should count as voter suppression. You see me? Moreover, in that moment on election day, you are not the prime minister. You are just a candidate, a run for re-election, because parliament get dissolved. So you're not a prime minister and you're not a member of parliament. You're just a regular citizen. You're just a regular civilian. So constitutionally, you are not emboldened for give no police, no authority or command for lock down no polling station. So that was very highly irregular. Major irregularity that one was. Different from all of the voter suppression will take place. Plus all of the eyewitness and audio-visual evidence will prove and show all of the irregularities will take place on the day. And this is all separate and apart from the heavy vote buying will take place. So I am not surprised that them block Comrade Paul Buchanan in the courts. Me not surprised, me did expect that. How me fi got thief election and then allow you fi expose me say yes, a thief me did actually thief the election. You crazy? If that one constituency expose Holness, it will expose the entire general election. Say yes, the entire general election was under heavy election fraud on September 3rd. And not to mention, if Holness losing seat, he cannot be the Prime Minister. So if he losing seat, he is no longer the Prime Minister. Because based on the laws of the Constitution, to be a Prime Minister, you have to be a member of Parliament. Meaning the people have to vote for you and elect you as a member of Parliament to be and remain as Prime Minister. So I want to have two things would happen. Is either they replace him with a new party leader where I gotta be Prime Minister, for example, like a Christophe Tan will well want to be party leader and Prime Minister, cause him have him political ambitions and dreams, or them parachute him in our JLP CF seat, meaning what JLP MP have to go give up their seat to the Prime Minister. So that's the two options where would have to take place if he losing seat. Who are got thief one general election and now allow you figure expose the facts say a thief me thiefy with all of your facts, proof and evidence. Me not go allow you to expose me say a thief me thiefy. It would be foolish, or I should say you would be foolish for thief one election and then allow it to be exposed. Make that make sense? Me thief it because me know say me ended up win. The odds were heavily stacked against me. All of the corruption allegations and accusations were a damage and batter my party left, right and center. Not to mention the Integrity Commission investigation of illicit enrichment cloud where hang over my head. My statutory decorations them not certified about 5 years now. So too much corruption, energy and scandal are surround me and my party. So the only way to come away with an election victory is through election fraud. So patriotic comrades, the Constituted Authority decides say after careful consideration of the affidavits and relevant case law, it found that the evidence presented did not satisfy the standard contemplated by the wording of section 37E. So them say the wording in meaning section 37E of the Election Petition Act that there is an upsurge in violence or any irregularity during election day in one or more polling stations or polling divisions or in any electoral division or constituency which would lead to a substantial distortion or subversion of the process of free and fair election. Now that's the wording. So upsurge in violence, we don't recall no violence. And then it say, or any irregularity during election day. There were 1,000,001 irregularities, specifically as it relates to Paul Buchanan constituency of St. Andrew Central. A substantial distortion or subversion of the process of free and fair election. There was heavy voter suppression. The Prime Minister commanded the police to lock down a polling station, allegedly. Let me reiterate that again for emphasis. Based on eyewitness accounts who were there on the ground on the day, allegedly the Prime Minister commanded the police force to lock down and shut down a polling station. Allegedly. So that could be considered substantial distortion or subversion of the process of free and fair election. So patriotic comrades, tell me what is the Constituted Authority talking about when they say after careful consideration, the evidence presented did not satisfy the standards contemplated by the wording of Section 37E. So the Constituted Authority say wording, right? The wording clearly say any irregularities. And we had several irregularities across Jamaica. not just in St. Andrew West Central, but specifically related to St. Andrew West Central, there were several alarming irregularities, and the wording clearly say any irregularities. So we are go by the logic of what the Constituted Authority said when them say, well, based on the wording of 37E, well, me not really see nothing fi grant you permission to proceed with this any further. So what is the Constituted Authority talking about? That statement by the Constituted Authority is in clear conflict with all of the evidence and proof. So make it make sense. I am not satisfied with what the Constituted Authority rule and say, well, me not see no reason to grant you the request to void the election results and call a fresh re-election or by-election. I am not satisfied with where the Constituted Authority just say. It just not feel justified. This feel like injustice. This feel like a cover-up. This feel like the democratic process is being blocked. But patriotic comrades, people have to cover their tracks, you know. So this is not supposed to surprise you none at all. So patriotic comrades, make we listen back to the overwhelming, damning evidence that was brought to the Constituted Authority, and them reject all of this damning evidence that show every and any irregularities that took place with Paul Buchanan. So make we listen back to all of the evidence, and then we decide if the Constituted Authority made the right decision by refusing application by the People's National Party candidate Paul Buchanan to void the September 3rd poll results in St. Andrew West Central constituency. So let's listen up to all of the damning evidence, patriotic comrades.
According to the PNP candidate for West Central St. Andrew, Paul Buchanan, the preliminary results bear no resemblance to the history and data of the constituency.
This constituency has 13,400 voters. And never before has the Mullines division recorded the numbers we were seeing in their general election.
Mr. Buchanan is alleging the irregularities were concentrated at the polling stations in areas considered People's National Party strongholds.
At DuPont in particular, the conflict in terms of the outturn or the outcome and the numbers, the preliminary numbers, could not be supported.
At the Taylor Basic School, the mall would cluster more irregularities, he claims.
Again, there we had significant numbers. So much so that after a visit by Andrew Holness yesterday, voting was ordered stopped inexplicable.
He says his team is also investigating the strange removal of several boxes.
Is that there were some boxes over Seaward Drive or the Seaward School cluster that went to the polling station long after everywhere else in Jamaica, despite the fact that it was about 300 yards away or 300 meters away between Seaward School and the counting center. And when my attorney asked for an explanation, they said that the responsible person was sick. Now we'll have to go into that as far as the sickness is concerned. Who was the responsible person, whether as the presiding officer? The question would be asked.
So now, patriotic comrades, after listening to Paul Buchanan himself with this overwhelming evidence of irregularities, which is a clear sign that this matter should go in front of the election court, and the election poll results of September 3rd, it should be void. Yes, it should be void, and there should absolutely be a re-election or a by-election. Simple as that, patriotic comrades. You can't ignore so much evidence and make it look like, say, well, the evidence is not strong enough. Me not understand that. And this Holness administration is setting a very dangerous precedent when it comes to elections and how elections are conducted. Because the mere fact that the Constituted Authority refused the application by Comrade Paul Buchanan, that now send the correct message of free and fair elections. So that means the precedent we are set now, them can always do this in future elections, So even when the evidence is clear, say yes, election fraud take place, heavy voter suppression take place, the rampant vote buying will take place left, right, and center. So basically, them a normalize election fraud in real time, in real life. Corruption is being normalized in Jamaica by this Holness administration. Look, I am no expert here, but this has to be a clear contradiction because Section 37E of the Election Petition Act, it clearly says any irregularities, and me show you overwhelming evidence and proof of several different irregularities, and then you are gonna say the evidence of me can't show you not strong enough. What that supposed to mean? How me supposed to interpret that now? Evidence, no evidence? How man fi left from Seaward Gardens with the ballot box them and drive way around the world when the place where you're supposed to carry the ballot box them come is like maybe a stone throw away. You can stay across and look from over there so to over here so. That's how really close them be, And you decide say you go drive way around the world for care come give me when it's just couple seconds worth of driving for drive care come up here so. Make that make sense. So how can the Constituted Authority ignore the overwhelming evidence that patriotic comrades, the math is not mathing. I may try make sense of this when me read because that 18 outstanding ballot boxes were from polling stations located at Seaward Gardens Primary and Infant School, and that was confirmed by the Director of Election. And then 18 box there caused the problem. So when the man them take the 18 boxes from Seaward Gardens Primary and Infant School, I just couple second drive up the road for them come drop off them the box there. Instead, them drive our next direction, go way around the globe, circle the universe, go Mars, Jupiter, go land on the moon, and then bring it to the spot where the final count are going to take place. Now, that's supposed to be suspiciously irregular. That's supposed to send off pure alarms, red alert, red flag, code red. So even Holness winning by that embarrassingly 2,101 margin is suspicious in and of itself. How can a sitting two-term prime minister get that the margin there? You should not lead by a wider margin because you come out say you are the achievement god and the country full of prosperity and the country a grow, which we all know to be false. That 2,101 there is not impressive. You come like a regular candidate. You come like a regular MP. You are the Prime Minister, two-term, and at that your margin, you should not lead Buchanan by at least one clear 6,000 votes. With Buchanan probably get 1,000 votes. Impressive Holness with them the numbers there. Now patriotic comrades, make we compare Holness victory to a Mark Golding's victory. Zin? Remember, Marky G went up against a JLP candidate, Zin, and Mark Golding won by 9,371 compared to the JLP candidate 1,183 votes. Now, when we do the subtraction, Mark Golding, the integrity boss, won by a clear landslide 8,188 votes. That's how political juggernauts win elections. So Holness is not popular amongst the constituents or the St. Andrew West Central constituency. In ratings not really tall like that. Worse, the irregularities that looks very suspiciously like election fraud what took place in that constituency between him and Paul Buchanan. So this is why Holness election victory over Paul Buchanan is not impressive. Holness, who is a two-term prime minister, who is a political juggernaut and big weight, how you fi only beat somebody by 2,101 vote? That no make no sense. as the Prime Minister, as the achievement god, as the prosperity boss? If you think Buchanan was robbed, smash that like button. If you believe Holness played it fair, drop a comment and defend it. Don't forget to subscribe for more explosive breakdowns of Jamaican politics, because trust me, the next political showdown is already loading.